Another edition of the Knights Report presented by Homey. Darren Millard in the home office in Vegas, along with Stormy Bonatoni, Mike McKenna, and Shea Theodore. Stormy from the kitchen in Summerlin. In the Midwest is Mike McKenna and Shea Theodore from the spare room, which we're very glad to see you off the bed because you were bedridden for a couple of hours the other day with the bad back, but everything appears to be good because you're up in the chair.
Oh yeah, much better, much better. I can sit straight, so this is good. This is an accomplishment.
This may be a cause of the VGK workouts, the fitness challenge. What's the most, as we go around the horn, we're going to get some news here because Gary Bettman offered up some statements earlier this week after a meeting with President Donald Trump on a conference call about the future of professional sports in North America going forward. But the VGK Fitness Challenge, what's the number of rotations that you get through inside of 20 minutes? Because you've been a leader on this.
Me? Oh, depends on the workout. Depends if burpees are involved, that'll slow it down. Jump squats, anything that adds more cardio will slow down your amount of rotations. So I try to do a few of those, and then I jump to mine with more of with the weights workout. So I kind of move around. I'll tell you, there hasn't been many VGK workouts here in the past week for me since my back, but hopefully I can start them up soon.
Stormy, I'm like a 3.5, and then I just bottom out on the rotation. How about you?
So I'll pause it. So I'll get a good amount of rotations in, but when I have to stop, I'll just pause the timer. And it's
20 minutes?
You can't do that.
Yeah, that's illegal. It's inside of 20 minutes.
But I pause it so that I'm like, my rest time isn't included in the 20 minutes.
That's the point, is to push it.
Instead of making fun of my working out, can we all address the real elephant in the room, which is Mike McKenna's facial hair today?
You're diverting. Ignoring it.
You're diverting.
Diversion. Complete diversion.
That's like the guy at
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's like the kid at hockey camp that constantly needs water, and they'll go to the bench and take a drink, and all they're doing is making sure that they get out of the work.
Okay, by the way, that little offering that you've got going, Mike, is not doing your career any good.
It's not bad. It's clean. It's a clean look.
No, this is good. I mean, things are getting weird. You know, I was inspired by my cousin who started to grow his, and being an only child, as we've talked about, you look for inspiration from a lot of people from far-ranging places, and that was one of them. So it won't last long. I did it because my youngest daughter wanted me to do it and have a mustache for a day or two.
I was about to say, your cousin wasn't Joe Exotic from Tiger King, was it?
Thankfully not. My cousin is not currently in jail.
Okay.
No, he's our parents, our mothers are twins, so he's my closest blood relative. But yeah, well, it's for my daughter.
You're not the only one. Shea Theodore last night, I had him on Instagram Live on the Golden Knights, and he was growing a mustache. But he said, we got to see what John Merrill has going on.
Yeah,
it says it is.
I want to know.
Yeah, I want to know too. So that's on my list, is to find Johnny Merrill and see if we can get him to see this new look he's sporting through this pause.
You know, you bring up an interesting point because there's players and there's people that we just haven't seen through the course of the first 5 weeks of this, and may not see for a couple of weeks, and we're used to running into them on a daily basis. There's going to be some folks that offer some unique looks when we come back, Shane.
Oh, there are. My beard, it's last time I grew it, I remember being darker, but I guess the sunlight, it's blonde now.
I've been growing mine out too.
It looks
good.
Good.
How's that going?
It's pretty rough, you know. I get pretty patchy, you know.
Oh,
flesh
like
colored.
Dave was saying that
it's
earlier.
Like
on his, yeah. Has anybody out of our group had a haircut? I'm nervous about that. I don't know who to go to. I mean, do we all just shave our head at the end of this?
I'm letting it go. Let it go.
Yeah.
I trimmed my own hair, and it wasn't wise.
No, I would. My goal is to have the mullet and the full-on bangs, everything. By the time
I have a picture of that somewhere.
Just like Bantams of you, Mallard, playing.
Yeah, I have a picture of a young Darren Millard with the full-up mullet.
I think that was the midget team picture. Yeah.
It might have been early on. I think I know the exact. Is it Dreger involved in that as well? Yeah.
Seen that one. Yeah.
We might have to do a comparison. Maybe we can rival that one. There is some news, Shane and Mike and Stormy. Gary Bettman did a couple of high-profile interviews this week, and with Fox and CNN, and then had a conference call with President Donald Trump and with the other commissioners of professional sports and leaders and some owners discussing the future of the sports calendar as we go forward coming out of this pause. And a couple of things that jumped out was that Gary Shane said that he's very not bullish, but is come to terms with the fact that they're going to be playing into the summer and they have to be agile and flexible. What did you take from some of Gary's comments?
Well, I think they have their, the medical professional and the people they have on staff watching this, that's going to, take the forefront to make sure, it gets to a point where they can explore these options, but they want to have ideas ready. And I think they've been doing that this whole time. We've heard lots of them. We discussed it. And it's just him reiterating that, they do want to play this season. They want to try and finish it. And they have the luxury of playing through the summer. It's just him speaking with that. And then, of course, we've heard the president come out and say they'd like to get sports back. But all that said, I think we need to, the concern on the safety of people comes first in this whole situation. I read Kevin Hayes today. He said the players have been talking. They feel that a time after July 15th. So, that coming from, I'm sure the PA and the NHL have had all these discussions. So that's kind of the timeline I guess they're looking at. It's hard to really set a time now because nobody can. And then the other avenues they're exploring is how do you finish it? Do you finish full regular season? Do you play a certain amount of games? Do you do an extended playoff? Gary Bettman talked about, keeping the integrity of the game in a way in which they can approach this to go into a proper playoff or the best scenario they can for a playoff and then a Stanley Cup run for teams to compete. So there's still lots of unknown out there, but certainly I think more than anything, we're seeing that there is a desire for them as much as possible, if possible, to finish off this year's regular season or the Stanley Cup being handed out and awarded this year.
Well, and I like too that, the phrasing that Gary Bettman used was we haven't ruled anything in, we haven't ruled anything out, because ultimately, it is all an unknown timeline dictated first by the virus and what's deemed safe, and then by our national local mandates, and then by the league. So, it is going to be really tough for the NHL to find a solution to what makes the most sense. And I get hesitant when we get so caught up in dates. We need to make this happen by July or August or whatever to make the calendar work. And as Shane, you referenced, it's about healthy. It's about health and it's about being healthy and safety. But playing into summer, some people love it, some people hate it. I love the comments from Pete DeBoer, who's all about it, saying playoff hockey in Vegas in August would be 120 degrees and awesome. You just have to change the game day dress code for the players, right?
Yeah, and well, you can really see through this is the optimism. I mean, they want to get the season done. Yeah. It's been every time Gary Bettman's talked in front of anybody, it's been, hey, we're going to try it best we can. We want to find different ways. We might have to be creative to do so. I really take away, though, that they're really aiming to make sure that they have proper playoffs, that it's not going to turn into a crazy, goofy tournament format, anything like that. But they're really letting scientists take control with this. They're letting Dr. Fauci from the United States medical doctors really try to be a guiding light to this. And he has said there is a way forward to play sports in a relatively soon time frame, but it's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take quarantining. It's going to take cities that are able to keep everybody in one place, arenas. So it seems as though everybody's on board that, hey, we really, really want to do this, but ultimately the safety of the players and the support staff coming in, if you're going to put this on TV, you've got to bring an entire crews. There's just a lot of people involved. But it is encouraging. And again, the optimism there, knowing that it's not just the commissioners and the heads of all the sports, not just Gary Bettman, but also the government too, and the people. Everybody wants to see sports again. It's just, how do we do this the proper way in the time frame we're allotted?
Shane, you've been through the rigors of a Stanley Cup run. You've won a Stanley Cup, being quarantined and playing in neutral sites, and the different ideas that we've heard about being tested virtually daily. Would that be a hesitation for you, or would you be willing to fight through that? I don't want you to speak for current players, but somebody that's been through this.
For myself, 100% willing to do it. If the safety is obviously going to come first for the players and for the people around. And what, a lot of times when I playoffs early in my career, I remember even in Ottawa, we were required to go to the hotel in our home city on game day.
New Jersey would do that all the time as well.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time that teams, when it gets to playoffs, that that is locked down. That is your focus. Guys have families and all that, but they know about the business and how athletes are, hockey players in particular, that, you know what, that's your focus. So I think, you know, being together can benefit a team. You're with the guys in that situation. Certainly being away from your families, that's the big issue for that, for a lot of them, their kids, their wives, their girlfriends, whatever it may be. And but that said, this has happened before, not quite to the basis where you'll be playing in front of empty buildings, which would be something unique. But I think the players would welcome this, to have the opportunity to compete, to finish what they need, what they started a long time ago, what they did almost, I don't know, what's the percentage of the season they played? Pretty much all of it. If this was 30, 40 games, it's a different story. But they played 70. There's been a grind. There's been a commitment already to this season that you don't want it just to go by the wayside. You'd like to see this finish off. And I think guys would be for this. And I think that's why they've been talking about it, is because, you know, the NHL and EPA, Players Association, are working together. And I think they're both bringing these ideas and trying to find the best solution. The biggest concern will be the safety of the players and the people that are in there. And it needs to be at a period where they can handle, you know, because things go wrong. They go wrong quickly. So that's the big issue that they're still trying to work out. And I'm sure they'll evaluate each and every day.
Stormy, you know, Gary Bettman brought up regular season games. And I think there was an assumption early on in this that when they came back, the National Hockey League or the NBA would go straight to a playoff format. But it sounded like finishing off the regular season in some form for the integrity of it is really being on the table to be discussed.
I think that's what the majority of players would prefer too, to get, I mean, the 82 number is unrealistic in my opinion, but getting to some sort of a common number and getting some regular season games under your belt seems like something that as a community, hockey players would like to see happen. And I think that we as viewers would like that too, to make sure that there is that integrity, that when you do get to the playoffs, that it's the deservedly so teams in that position, and everybody that was in that bubble type of a thing has the opportunity to go on and to have the opportunity to play in and potentially win a Stanley Cup. And, you know, there are smarter people than me making these decisions. That's above my pay grade, obviously. But I think from a player standpoint, that's what the majority of people would like to see. Gary Bettman said, of course, there would still need to be that 2 or 3 week training period even ahead of that. Because I think that this is the most unique thing about hockey versus other sports, is this isn't like the NBA where somebody can just go hop on a basketball court in their backyard or something and get those reps in. Hockey's so different. You don't really have things at home that you can replicate skating. And I don't know, maybe Shane, you can say how long it really takes to get back to skating shape, skating form. But I mean, taking that much time off of the ice in order to do that, like, you have to have that time.
Well, Mike can probably talk to it too, but you can skate all you want. They're going to need time to get their conditioning, but you still need to play a game. There's a big difference between, you know, practice shape and then game shape. That's why you have a preseason. That's why you have exhibition games, because that's the only way to get back up to speed. So that's what makes it a little interesting. How do you
don't think they're playing any type of exhibition games, though, do you?
No. But they've got to simulate game scenarios somehow. That'll be the big thing.
Yeah, I mean, however it gets done, the players can't just jump in immediately and do it. And it can't be less than a week. What I only fear here is that you start to get close to this and there's only a limited time frame. 3 weeks is not going to be that's
what's the minimum for you
to pull it off, you know?
I think the minimum, Mike.
It's got to be a week. And I think a week's pushing it. 2 weeks to me is ideal if they can do it, but a week is really all the players need beyond that. And again, like Shane said, it's game shape. It's getting your wind, and you can't replicate what you do on the ice no matter how hard you try. You've seen pictures, different guys getting rollerblades sent to them by companies, but it's just different. So I think that what we're going into now is, let's get a week. Let's play hockey. I mean, these players are so hungry to finish this. Think about what Jonathan Marchessault said in the update article that we had on the Golden Knights website. It's just impossible to think we're not going to finish this. Like, they want to get going. And even if they think it's going to take 2 or 3 weeks, that might be overly optimistic to where it gets down to, if we have a week to get a training camp in and then play some hockey, are you guys willing? Again, I think they'd all be gung-ho to do so, to get the games going as quick as possible and get to the proper playoff series.
it might be the highest scoring opening round or opening segment, whatever
Easily,
format they
yeah.
choose. That
The
we've
first
ever
month's
seen.
always like that too. The season, they're crazy scores for those first 2 or 3 weeks while players are getting back into their shape and systems are coming in. It could be very similar to that. Be wide open.
Be like going to hockey school and then jumping into your midget tryouts back in the day, just coming back from the lake, something like that. So we'll look forward to that. But the 2 to 3 weeks getting up and running is new news, something we hadn't really heard from Gary Bettman, and as well as more of a commitment or certainly stronger talk about finishing off some of the regular season. This is the Knights Report presented by Homey, Darren Millard, Shane Natty, Stormy Buonantony, and Mike McKenna. I don't know whether we can say that there's an MVP of the Vegas Golden Knights through those 71 games this year. But leaving that aside, let's talk about players that impressed or surprised or jumped off the page at you through those games. And we'll start with you, Shane, somebody that really grabbed your attention.
I think Chandler Stephenson, the trade they made early and how impactful it was. Not only Chandler Stephenson, who was the fourth-line player in Washington, very well known by both Kelly McCrimmon and George McPhee, obviously with him being with the Capitals previously. But Stephenson came over, he scored in his first game in New Jersey. But I didn't recognize how fast he was, how strong he was, how versatile he was. That was the advertisement on him. And he more than proved his worth, his ability not only to play up and down the lineup, his ability to play in each and every situation, whether it was penalty kill, whether it's power play, whether it was third line center, third line wing, second line center between Pacioretty and Stone, where he thrived and put up points. He's able to provide offense. He's able to be solid, reliable defensively, a two-way forward at a very low cost. And not only that, you look forward, because of that strength, love Cody Eakin, but it allowed them to shed that salary and bring in somebody of the caliber of Robin Leonard. So, he did so many things, not only the acquisition, but he got the opportunity, and I say it so much. It's what guys do with their opportunity, and he certainly made the most of it. That was a huge acquisition, huge pickup for the Golden Knights this season, and I think he's a great player. He's got a great mindset. He does everything right. And he, along with a lot of the Golden Knights, they saw that he had a higher ceiling offensively to get to. And now you have to wonder, is he potentially a 20-goal guy? I don't see why not.
Well, he might be the poster player for the modern day scouting when you combine analytics and the eye test. And you had the eye test and the experience with Kelly and George. And then you had the analytics, which clearly factored into this change.
Yeah, absolutely. And it benefited the Golden Knights because it was a player that when they had injuries, they were able to plug him in wherever they needed him.
And the speed that you brought up, that overtime goal against St. Louis was spectacular. Stormy, your time.
I did Riley Smith, not necessarily surprised that he has performed as well as he did, but maybe surprised by the consistency. He's been in the lineup all year long and consistently produced. He can score. Got the two-way ability, kills penalties on the power play. He's a guy that you expect to have maybe 20 goals, and he's got a career best 27 this year with still a number of games to play. He had a career best in shooting percentage, shorthanded goals, game-winning goals. He was doing all these things. And I can't remember the exact verbiage that Pete DeBoer used later on in the season when he was talking about Smith, but it had that underrated tone that maybe he doesn't get talked about from other teams or outside media as much as he should. But he is a threat in every area and deserves that respect. So I really appreciated the season from Riley this year.
His back half of last year and the front half of this year, when you combine those, is one of the great stretches for a player, certainly in the Golden Knights history, but in the last number of years. You know what I love about him, Stormy, is Riley Smith truly believes he should score in every shot. And when he doesn't, he's like, how did that not go in?
Well, that's what he's got 5 fewer goals, I believe, than Max Pacioretty and almost half the shot attempts. So that just goes to show that when he's shooting, he expects it to go in.
Mike.
I went with Shea Theodore. And reason being is that this is a player who really last season started to come into his own in the league. He made the name for himself, puts up 37 points. This year it takes off. He's leading the team in time on ice, and he's quarterbacking the power play. His point totals are as high as they've ever been. He's up to 46 right now, which is beyond what he's done previously. New high in goals. But the big thing for me with Shea Theodore is watching him play and the growth in his defensive side of the puck this year. And that's what's allowed him to play so many minutes. It's not that he's just a one-dimensional player who gets the puck, goes to the other end, and he's a liability going the other way. That's not the case. He's been really good this year at both ends. And again, his plus-minus is really good. But his underlying, all those advanced stats, when Shea Theodore has the puck on his stick, the Golden Knights do good things. That's what those things come down to if you want to boil them. They get more chances on net. They don't have as many against. And his point totals just keep going up. So I'm seeing Shea Theodore blossom into truly one of the elite defensemen in the National Hockey League. Shane, you could speak to that ability of where he is in relation to other guys, but he's right on the cusp of becoming a superstar in this league without people realizing it right away. And the best part for Golden Knights is that he's got a really favorable contract too. Again, a smart decision to take that longer term deal. And it's just a player who's coming into his own. I remember playing against him previously and thinking, boy, this guy's always got his head up. He gets shots through from the point. And I've seen all of that and then more. There continues to be growth in his game this season.
Yeah,
Shane, what do you think his best skill level is? His skill set?
It starts and ends with skating. He's such an elite skater.
So dynamic.
One of the best defense, you think of the greats, I think of Scott Niedermayer, I think of Nick Lidstrom. They both seem like they floated on the ice. Shea Theodore's the same. His mobility, his edge work, and underrated as a defender because of his skating ability. He cuts so many plays off before they start. And then it allows him on both sides of the puck. When anybody has that elite of skating ability, you see it from a lot of forwards, but the defensemen that do and can move, he can skate himself out of trouble. He can find holes. He can get up in the rush, has the ability not to be in danger because he can more often than not can get back in time to be back in the defensive side of the puck. I really believe he's a star. I believe he's going to be a Norris contender. I think since, I don't know, I have the stat, but I just recall we had it showing since December sometime, I think between him and Yossi for the highest scoring defenseman from that point in the season. So, Shea Theodore, and he's 24. So,
right.
Like,
Well,
he hasn't hit his prime yet. That's I guess the scary thing and the great thing. Depends which way you want to look at it, who you're a fan of.
Well, and I was just thinking, you got to remember that slow start he had to the season. He didn't have a normal everyday player off season either, So I think that goes to show too why that December number is so critical, because that's kind of at the point where he took off, where he didn't have that normal training period like everyone else did over the summer.
Yeah, and he's done it with multiple defensive partners too. Whoever's been plugged in with them, he's been just as good with them. And really, Alec Martinez having him to play with now too. It just solidifies the back end.
When he was picked up in that expansion draft, he was one of the players. I know Marc-Andre was by far and away the star, but really excited and thought that's a gem that they can pick up from the Anaheim Ducks. Mike, just on Theodore to wrap up, he's really good one-on-one. And when I say that, I mean with the puck. When he's working an opposition defenseman one-on-one, what makes him so effective there?
Well, he's shifty first off, but it goes back to Shane with his skating. That explosiveness to be able to carry the puck with his head up in stride with speed is what allows him to beat people. And he can really move the puck well close to his feet. He creates separation between himself and the player that he's trying to go around. And it even extends beyond one-on-one situations with opposing defensemen. He's been a big cog in the wheel for shootouts for the Golden Knights too. The famous donkey kick move, forehand, backhand, get it in the air. He's got a great stick. He's got really, really good hands for a defenseman and nose for the net. And it's a lot of fun to see somebody playing defense get sent in a shootout and be successful, because it's just not very common. It's almost like it's your secret weapon. But by now, most of the league's caught on to it. So it's his speed, and it's really his just shiftiness and how deceptive he can be with that puck on his blade.
You're nodding, Shane.
Oh, nobody has a clue what a defenseman's going to do. I'm 1 for 2 in my career in the old IHL. But
I was going to ask you, how many shootout attempts?
2.
How did you score it? How did it go in?
There's no way I'm deking. I did deke and lose the puck. And actually, the one I missed on hit the post. So, I just come in and rip it.
That's like Chris Pronger. And remember Chris Pronger when he scored in the Stanley Cup playoffs for the Anaheim Ducks? They sent him, and he just went down and ripped it. Didn't bother making a move. Yep, posted in.
That's impressive. 1 for 2. That's I mean,
Yeah, I'll retire at 50%. I have no problem with that.
Oh, it's way above average.
I'm looking forward to Googling that and looking that up on YouTube.
Oh, I don't know if you'll find that. That'll be a good Google. You can find
Hey, who-
IHL in what, 97?
Yeah.
Stormy, don't comment.
No, please. So who were you playing with and who did you score on? Do you remember?
Oh, I know I was playing with Grand Rapids, the Griffins, but no idea who I scored on.
Did you know what you were going to do before you went down?
Shoot.
Was Dave Allison your
You
coach
didn't
on that
say,
team?
I gotta move.
David
How deep in the lineup did you get before you went? Did he send you right away?
No, but he liked defensemen. We had Travis Richards. He always sent, who had a little move left-handed. He had a little fake and would go high glove on not you, Mike, but other left-handed catching.
Yeah, right.
And he seemed to score every time. You don't test my memory too much. I know I'm 1 for 2. I thought that's pretty good.
That's
I can remember that.
This is a rabbit hole right now that we're
especially
going
if Dave
for
Allison's
so I'm
involved as a
100%.
coach.
Yeah, I think I hit the post against the Indianapolis Ice, maybe.
This is the Knights Report presented by Homie, Darren Millard, along with Shane Natty, checking in with Stormy Buonantony and Mike McKenna. It's the Knights Report favorite segment, broadcasters and viewers alike. It's the Stormy Challenge. What do you have for us today?
I have an impossible question, which is kind of the point. So this is going to be the hockey version of the Kiss, Marry, Kill question. You know how they do that with like people you know or celebrities or whatever.
Always a positive
so we're gonna
game.
Call this,
Yeah.
I'm confused already.
We're gonna Kiss, Marry, Kill, but we're not doing that. We're doing start, sit, limited time on ice. Okay, so I'm gonna give you 3 people, and you have to choose who you would start, who you would sit, and who you would give limited ice time to. Okay? And this is an impossible question because your options are Wayne Gretzky, Gordie Howe, and Bobby Orr.
Start, sit, and limited ice time.
Yes.
Well, we're not playing with goalies. We know that. Let's see.
We
Okay,
could have done that. We could have
I'll
done
go
start,
first here.
sit,
Boy.
and
I got mine.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go start Wayne, sit Gordie, and limited Bobby.
Sit and Gordie.
Yeah, I know. I'm not happy about that. I don't plan on going back to Saskatoon anytime.
I'm just gonna
soon.
put this on Twitter to the masses that Darren Millard wants to sit Gordie Howe.
Yeah, well, look at who you're comparing. The 3.
I know. That's why I asked the question.
Okay. I'm starting Bobby. You know what? I'll sit. I can't sit Wayne, can I?
This is going to live on forever. This could all come back to
I
haunt us.
love Dwayne. I got to. You know what? I'll sit Gordie because he can just sit there and be intimidating on the bench.
Right.
And then limited to Wayne.
Oh, I went the exact same way. I think Bobby Orr you have to have out to be able to retrieve the puck, and he can go all over the ice. And that is the impossible question. I mean, that's tough. Gordie Howe, Shane, you're dead on. He could even the mere threatening of him coming on the ice is a deterrent to the other club. But yeah, Howe and Gretzky, how mobile those two are, I think you have to have available on the ice.
All right, one more for you since I think we have another minute.
Do you realize we all benched the second highest scoring person in National Hockey League history?
He also played the longest in the league. We're gonna try to downplay this man's career.
This other one, since we were talking about shootouts, I was just thinking it's Game 7, game on the line. Any player ever to take the shootout, who do you want to put in there?
How about that, Sue?
TG Oshie.
Patrick Kane.
Ooh, that's really good.
Those are all really good ones for
Yeah.
shootouts. It's that's
Funny, we didn't really have to think about that though. Like you
guys just
bang, bang, bang.
and there's many more. I could probably do
Sure.
2 rounds of that. Then you can go in the older, like Mario Lemieux, his reach.
Yeah, I took Oshie just because he has the experience of it too on the big stage, winning the Olympics for the U.S. 5-hole after 5-hole.
Jonathan Taves in World Juniors went, what did he go, 3 times in a row?
You know who I'm not taking is Dennis Weidman.
Oh, come on, former teammate here.
Oh, just because of the toe pick?
That's a heel pick.
Oh, I got a funny story on that. So I was actually called up with Norfolk in the American League from Vegas as a replacement to Corey Crawford, who'd been called up to the Chicago Blackhawks at that time. And he was the goalie in his rookie year, took that shot that Weidman heel picked when completely airborne, missed the net. And we're riding on the bus. Sean Thornton's in the back, Shane, your old roommate. And the bus explodes because first they see Crawford getting his first chance at a win. And then Weidman does that. And this is before people had smartphones, but everybody is still immediately phones right to their head calling everybody in hockey. Did you see Weidman heel pick it? It was the shootout that went around the hockey world like that in an era when things didn't get around that fast.
And Weidman's one of the good guys in the game. Fun guy. Shane.
He was, yeah. I had a lot of fun with him. Gave him a hard time. It's hard to believe, but I gave him a hard time a lot. That play was brought up a lot.
Well, your 2 IHL ones, we don't have video of them. You scored on one of the 2 of them, so we can't critique that.
So he claims.
When Shane can walk the walk, he can talk the talk, and he's really good at talking the talk. We know that. Thanks to Shane Knighty. Good to see you back in health and take care of that.
Good to see everyone.
And Stormy, Mike, be well. I'm Darren Millard. This has been the Knights Report presented by Homey. Stay safe, stay healthy.